judge in Texas is blocking President Joe Biden's moratorium on deportations, which went into effect last week.
There are several high-profile cases now right in our own area which can be directly impacted by this federal judge's ruling, including the case of Javier Castillo Maradiaga, who is currently being detained by ICE. Joining us this morning is one of the attorneys representing Javier and the executive director of Unlocal, Terry Lawson. Terry, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Terry, this really sparked some confusion, right? Because the judge's decision, this federal judge in Texas, it really is impacting some cases, even though there was this moratorium on deportations. How does this affect Javier's case here in New York?
What's important to understand about yesterday's decision is that there's nothing in it that requires ICE to deport people or even detain them. ICE continues to have tremendous discretion under existing law to release people in its custody, so they can pursue immigration relief without being separated from their families. Javier is in New York in ICE custody, and we are calling on the Biden administration to release him now, something fully within their power to do. All yesterday's TRO does is temporarily pause the one part of the memorandum on the 100-day moratorium. But ICE doesn't need a moratorium from the White House to stop deporting people.
All right, so let's talk about Javier's case. You mentioned just a little bit that he is being detained by ICE. For folks who are not familiar, give us some background here as to what his case deals with.
So there are tens of thousands of people currently being held in ICE custody like Javier, the vast majority of whom are held in private prisons where they face the daily risk of contracting COVID. The Biden administration's announcement yesterday that it plans to end contracts with private prisons does not cover for-profit companies that run the vast majority of immigration detention centers like the one that Javier has been in. So again, the Texas decision does not stop ICE, which receives $8 billion in taxpayer dollars.
But why was he detained? Why is he being detained by ICE? What is their argument for deporting him?
So Javier has a final order of removal, which is why the ICE is trying to deport him. And the moratorium was to stop ICE from deporting people who have those final orders of removal.
So Javier is a 27-year-old. He lived in the Bronx, came to the United States from Honduras when he was 7 years old. His parents are here legally. His siblings are DACA recipients. He himself applied for DACA, and that actually fell short. His application never went through because he was arrested by the NYPD, and that's how he was brought over to ICE, correct?
So Javier had DACA. He had DACA after the program was announced, and it lapsed in 2019. He was not able to renew his DACA status because he was in ICE detention.
Understood. So that's where that's the background there on Javier's case. But the block is in effect now for 14 days or so. So does that mean that ICE agents can theoretically round up undocumented citizens and start deportation proceedings, or you're saying not so fast?
Right. So the Texas judge does not enjoin the new enforcement priorities, which are set to go into effect on Monday, nor does it reinstate the old executive orders issued by the Trump administration. And yesterday's decision really relied on racist, xenophobic, and baseless attacks on immigrant communities, many of whom, like Javier's mother, are essential workers who pay taxes. So no, this decision does not allow ICE to begin rounding people up. It's very limited, and advocates will not stop fighting until we see everyone released from ICE custody.
You know, Javier's case does sound like one of these loopholes, this gray area where he did have DACA. He was trying to re-enroll in it and then was not allowed to do so because he was detained. There are others like that out there who are in this very situation. The White House has not responded to the federal judge's ruling to block the moratorium. So what are the options now for the Biden administration?
So the next step is for the Texas judge to decide whether to issue a preliminary injunction, which can be appealed. And we believe the Biden administration should come out strongly and condemn the weak legal reasoning in yesterday's decision and state it will do everything it can to protect immigrant communities and take every legal action possible to protect them.
And I think people might be watching this. If they are an undocumented immigrant, they're saying, well, if it happens to Javier, it can happen to me. Right. What can I do to protect myself during this time? I've applied for DACA. I've applied to become a legal citizen in the country. What more can people do?
So here in New York, my organization Unlocal is part of the Rapid Response Legal Collaborative, along with Make the Road New York and NILAG, which helps these people with final orders of removal who are either in ICE custody or about to be deported, who are affected by this decision. And so for help, people can call our hotline at 212-946-0351.
All right, Terry, thank you so much for shedding some light on this. It's really important because these, immigrants were told, these DACA, enrollees were told, sign up, you will be protected. Then all the changes occurred, and now they're in this gray area facing deportation.
Stay in touch. You want to hear more about Javier's story, so stay in touch with us. Thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Thank you.